Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Bedford Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for November 9th, 2020. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. This is Kyle Dirsch. I'm acting as the chairperson of tonight's meeting until Mr. Blake becomes present.
Planning and zoning.
Bill Goldsmith, Township Attorney.
Dennis Jenkins, Planning Commission.
Jeff Wilson, committee member.
Dennis Kohler, Bedford Township Building Inspector.
Katrina Ingram, recording secretary.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and go to the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the
United
United States of America, and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Kincaid, can you go through the roll call tonight, please?
Yes. Mr. Steiner,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Mr. Dirsch,
Aye.
Mr. Jenkins,
Here.
and I see Mr. Lake is here. All present.
All right, hand it over to you, Jake.
All right. Hey, sorry for my tardiness. I apologize.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So we'll move on. It looks like we've already established part one of our agenda. So we'll move on to the second, which is the pledge. So if all stand and please recite the
We
pledge.
already did that.
Oh, you already did that.
Yeah, we
Okay, you did
that.
roll call. Sorry, I apologize. So then we are on approval of the agenda. So I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. All right. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes of our October 5th, 2020 meeting. If anyone would like to make a motion.
So moved.
I'd second that.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. We'll move on to the next item, and that is new business. And I'll look for someone to open the public hearing. Actually, we'll start first. Karen, I'll let you go first and explain what we'll be discussing tonight.
Okay. This actual application is for Tim Hayes. He actually lives on Rings Road, but the variance location is 10013 Jackman Road, 54.83 acres, and it is agriculturally zoned. The applicant. Okay. I think I'll go ahead and continue while he's being admitted to the meeting. The variance request is for a split for 6 parcels, requiring three parcels to the south of the one parcel that is in the center of this parcel of 140 feet, 40 feet of frontage variance for parcel 1, 100-foot frontage variance, and a 1.73 acre area variance for parcel 2, and a 140-foot frontage variance and 1.73 acre area variance for parcel 3. On the north side of the parcel, the existing parcel in the center, there are 3 more parcels, 130-foot of frontage variance and a 1.56 acre variance, a 130-foot frontage variance and a 1.56 acre area variance, and a 130-foot frontage variance and a 1.56 acre area variance. The applicant is seeking to split that 54.83 acre parcel with non-frontage of 1,170 feet on Jackman Road. And again, I identified the 6 parcels that he is looking to split into the with variances. And it's noted in his letter that the existing home is 37.97 acres of natural farmland will be maintained on the first parcel, while also creating the 5 additional parcels. The applicant further explained that the frontage of the existing parcel would be split and used for single-family dwellings while preserving the rear of the parcel as farmland. The applicant noted that the proposed lots are larger than the previous lots created across from the subject parcel, and noted the existing lots with similar frontage north of the property on the same side of Jackman Road. I'm not going to go over the variances, but should this request be granted, the variances are listed on the back of this paper, as I previously noted. At this time, we have received no calls of objection. We did receive a visit from one of the neighboring property owners, and I expect that they're going to be calling in this evening as they indicated.
Thank you, Karen. If you have the applicant or somebody representing the applicant, I'll ask at this point if they'd like to add anything to what Karen had already stated.
Hi, yes, this is Brad Helm at 9728 Secor Road, Temperance, Michigan. Just looking to, kind of conform to what is in the area and already approved on the east side of Jackman Road up to Samaria. We're a little bit larger lots, but not up to the conforming 330. Just looking that today's land is, people don't want 5 acres anymore. They want less, but they still want a few to 3 to 3.5 acres because of maintaining it. And we're just looking to, conform that. And then also adjoining the rear property will be conjoined with the other 60 acres that butts it in the family of to continually farm.
Thank you. We have not officially opened the public hearing, so at this time, I'll look for a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, the public hearing is now open, so I'll leave it there to see if there are any questions for the applicant or Ms. Kincaid, or if we have any others on the phone that would like to comment on this potential variance. Okay, if you would like to let them in, Mr. Wong. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we are now speaking about the variance request on Jackman Road. And if there are any folks on the phone that would like to make a comment at this time, we'll allow that to happen. If you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is John Krakoff. I live at 10212 Jackman Road. To the question. And a couple of points. Know that in the application process, our development to the north was considered as a gateway for the request that's being made here tonight. But I would like to point out some major differences between the development that's nearly completed south of Samaria on Jackman Road. And first one is that several parcels in the to-be existing development were directly in ordinance Samaria Village overlay, which allowed relaxed zoning as it approached the adjacency to the village. So there was relaxed zoning already in place in the current development because it was zoned ordinance Samaria Village overlay. 3 of the developed parcels were pre-zoning ordinance. They were quit claimed in the 1970s, so that's a point. There was no need for variance whatsoever for those 165 frontage parcels, one of which I live on. And the parcel immediately north of that is 339 frontage, needing no zoning variation for building. So there's really an overlay to the village, and the parcels to the south, more to the Hayes Farm. There were only a couple of parcels that were true agricultural straight zoning require variance. So this is kind of an apple and an orange we have here. Now, while we were in process, our appeal years ago, a few years back, we walked through the neighborhood, all adjacent neighborhoods, to receive letters of no objection. We received and presented to the Board of Zone of Appeals approximately 30 letters of no objection. And so I asked the board if this is followed, this model has been followed in this request, and how many letters of no objection are on file. But lastly, I would go as far as to say that in a few short years, virtually all agricultural frontage land will be housing in Bedford Township. That's certainly up to this board, but this could be a can of worms, and this could alter immensely the open field and that we're used to seeing. I'm just pointing that out. This is a pivotal decision here. The land south of the Hayes Farm are all compliant agricultural zoning frontage, and adjacent to road, likewise to the west. So I don't see it, but there again, you're on the board and I'm not. So that's where I stand, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Kreikoff. Do we have any other folks on the phone that would like to comment on the proposed variance? All right, thank you, Mr. Welling. Seeing that we'll leave the phone open for a little bit in case some others happen to join, we can grab some comment later. So I'll stop right there and we'll go on to the next section here. We'll talk a little bit about this as a group. If there are any questions for Ms. Kincaid or for the applicant, we'll open up for questions and or discussion at this point. Mr. Jenkins?
John is right. This kind of does open a can of worms because we just spent quite a bit of time developing this Ag 2 district language. And now that it seems like there are a lot of requests coming from the east part of the township on ag properties, again, the same argument where they don't want 5 acres. So I'm in a quandary. I don't know quite what we should do here. Whether we should sit down and take a look at this whole agricultural ordinance again and look at it. I can sort of see John's argument that people don't want 5 acres, but you're buying in an it requires 5 acres, 330 feet of frontage. So I don't know if anybody else has any input.
I guess I'll add to that, Dennis. I did look at the Bedford Master Plan from 15, and when you look at what it states in this particular area, it would be agriculture. Agricultural preservation is what the master plan would call for in this case, and that is what it stands at right now. In addition to that, I agree. A new ordinance for a relaxed agricultural zoning would probably put some of this to rest, and then you'd have people looking for a zoning variance as opposed to an overall frontage variance. So yeah, I'm open for more discussion here. Part of me is, well, I'd like to stick to the ordinance as stated in the record, but there is a bit of a precedent here. And when I look at how we need to analyze this, we also need to think about some of the precedents that are out there. So I'll continue to open this up for discussion. Yes.
I would just like to state, can I go, can I talk or should I wait?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Allen. Yep.
I would just like to state that, you know, in our area, I mean, just a quarter mile south, there are 80-foot frontage lots. We do have quite a bit of mixed use in our area. Quite a bit of the lots already in the area are non-conforming. I'm not asking for anything above and beyond. You know, I know Mr. Craycroft across the street, you know, built a beautiful road with the houses and the view. If you drive by it, it's very appealing. I'm not asking for anything more than what's across the street, but with a little bit more land than what he proposed and did. So I believe all of it was not in the rezone ag. Some of the lots were proposed because in the ordinance at the time in 2017, they were considering 165-foot upper Bedford area that's zoned ag, but now that's changed and just parts of it are looking in that to be rezoned. So at the time of his approval, it was all going to be, the whole area was going to be 165-foot frontage with 2.5 acres.
Mr. Helm could identify those properties, they said to the south on Jackman Road that are 80 feet parcels. I'm not familiar with those. We have the Paleckis, we have the Decker Hill up there that was called at one time Bedford Highlands. I'm not familiar with any 80-foot parcels to the south of this property.
So I think what we'll do at
There
this
is
point.
some
Hold on, gentlemen. So this is not an open discussion. It is a meeting, so it is kind of difficult. It's a unique situation here, but I'm going to call the order here. So what I'll do is I'm going to stop that right there. And I think Mr. Jenkins had a question. I think also if we don't have any others on the call for public comment here on this variance request, I think what we'll do is we will close the public hearing at this point if someone would like to make a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Lee, before we vote on that, that was Mr. Helm on the line, and was that Mr. Krykhoff again speaking?
I believe so.
It was
Yes.
indeed. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so one of the things, this is part of the public discussion on this, so it should be allowed to continue, but whoever is speaking must direct it to the chair and not toward each other, because I don't think it's right that we should eliminate conversation if they have comments to be made.
So moved. Thank you, Mr. Steiner. Yep. So yep, if there is a comment that you would like to make, just address first, and then we'll give you the floor. And I think Mr. Jenkins actually had a comment, if you would, Mr. Jenkins.
Yeah, first of all, I don't believe in precedents. I don't think that if one board made a mistake, the new board needs to continue making mistakes. The other thing is, I was there during the whole master plan process, and the discussion of turning the entire northern part of the township to 2.5 acres wasn't discussed. So just want to get that in there.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Yeah, but I do recall that as well. There were certain areas that were agricultural preservation where you look for more farms as opposed to more real estate, or call it, I think they call it estates, like agricultural estates, I believe at the time. Right. Is there any other further discussion? Yeah, and a good point as well, Mr. Jenkins. I mean, each variance request needs to hold to the merits of which the request is made, not opposed to anything from the past, etc. But it is an argument we could make if someone wanted to make a motion with that precedent in place. But I'm also trying to think through what the practical difficulties are for the current property. And if we want to have some discussion on what we think those practical difficulties are, I think that's where the conversation should probably should potentially go. And I see, Mr. Steiner, I see your icon is blinking, but I don't know if that's you raising your hand or.
No, I'm not doing anything right this second. So with that said, I know we started to have a motion, so I would maybe, Jake, I would go back out to anyone on the phone, ask if they've got any last comments to the chair, and then go ahead and close the public hearing.
Fair comment. For those of you on the phone, Mr. Helmer, Mr. Krikoff, if you would like to make a comment, one last comment here in before we end the public hearing. Ms. Kincaid, yes? You're on mute, Ms. Kincaid.
I believe Mr. Helm can remain on the line because he is representing the applicant.
Fair. Yes, that's true. If we have any additional questions.
This is John Krikoff speaking, and thank you for recognizing me. I would like continual clarification from Mr. Helm of the 80-foot frontage parcels to the south of this property on Jackman Road, which I have no familiarity with. I can't see it. That's, those are wide space areas. The Satkowskis, Paleckis are a little short, but there aren't numerous. The corner parcel is large. All corner parcels on Erie and Jackman are large. Going south, continuing past Erie Road, we got large frontage properties on both sides. I'm just that, my imagination can't picture anything of that nature. Thank you.
All right. Unless we have any other public comments, I think we can make a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
The public hearing is closed. So we'll move on to continue some discussion, and or if there are questions, we can also have questions. I guess I have a question of Mr. Helm, if you're still on the line.
Yeah.
So part of what we try to figure out of why we would grant a variance request would be practical difficulties with the parcel. And what I'm struggling with at this point is to understand what the practical difficulties for requiring all the changes to the parcel would be.
Well, one that I believe that 5 acres at 330 foot, it's just more property than people need. So for today's homes and what people want is more than they want to cut and maintain.
Pay taxes on it.
The taxes, the farmer came to me due to the grounds and the farms the last 6 years have not profitable. So they're trying, to make more use of those, a little bit of frontage, but still maintain the agricultural in the back, which is getting it purchased by the Brighton family, which owns the 61 acres behind it, which will be maintained and farmed in the family property.
Thank you. Is there any other questions, discussion? Ms. Kincaid, are we getting a lot of requests in right now in the township for parcels that are smaller for building purposes? Are you aware of any other requests that are going on that try and split places that don't require variance?
Split don't require a variance. If variance isn't required, it would not necessarily come to the planning department. It would go directly to the assessing department, and the split would take place. So it wouldn't be brought to our attention necessarily in those cases. As far as right now, we've been working with the Ag Estates. This area is not included in the Ag Estates. The western part of this particular section is in the Ag 2. I'm sorry, not Ag Estates, Ag 2 section. But we have had, if you recall, variance requests all around this intersection. Even on Erie Road, where that is between Jackman Road and Douglas Road, closer to Jackman Road. We even had some that we have granted variances on, where we provided, I don't know, I'd call it a lane or an area where a combine could get from the farmhouse back to the field where they want to farm. And I believe that was the Brightons that Mr. Helm was speaking of, that it's adjacent to this and farming would continue on the rear part. So in this particular area, we have had variances. Some have not required variances and they've maintained the 5 acres. Others have not. Some have been granted and some have been denied.
Thank you, Ms. Kincaid. Mr. Jenkins?
Yeah, I'm still struggling with this practical difficulty issue because I'm not seeing it. It sounds like it's everybody else that wants the 2.5 acres, but the practical difficulty doesn't lie with this piece of property. So that's why I'm a little hesitant.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dersch? Yep, go ahead, Mr. Dersch.
Yeah, I'm on the same here with Mr. Jenkins. I'm having trouble here in the struggle of seeing that this is not self-created by the land division itself and splitting it up. As the parcel stands, that's not the practical difficulty. It's the subsequent division and creation of the lots that's creating the issue here.
So we got 2 folks right now that are struggling to find a practical difficulty. Any other discussion on the practical difficulty here? And I tend to agree with Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Dersch at this point that this does seem to be a self-created problem. Understand that, to remove some of the property because it hasn't been producing is a problem, but that is not a practical difficulty for a split of the lot. Mr. Steiner?
Just one quick question. We talked about 6 parcels here. The furthest parcel to the south, that one is going to be attached still to the farmland according to the last drawing. Is that correct, Ms. Kincaid?
It is.
Do the Brightons currently own that last parcel?
I'm sorry, you broke up?
Does the Brighton family currently own that last parcel?
No, Mr. Hayes owns it. You have to clarify with Mr. Helm exactly how the Brightons are involved. I know that this farmland on this particular parcel is adjacent to farmland, and I don't know if it's family or if it is Mr. Brighton that would like to continue to farm it, but Mr. Hayes possibly offer clarification on that.
Because what you've also mentioned of other parcels along Erie potentially, where they might have been given variances, where you, like in this parcel here, would there be room for those combined and farm implements to get past that home properly on that last lot if it was not specifically tied? Because I don't see anybody saying there's going to be a true land combination of this farm area actually combined with the Brighton parcel.
Again, Mr. Helm would have to offer clarification on that. I do know that it is surrounded by farmland, and there were A couple of comments made when the application was coming in that there might be interest in continuing to farm it by others than the property owner right now.
I can answer the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Brad, Ham.
Yes.
What we were going to do is the existing farmhouses is on the property would be on one of the 190-foot wide lots. That would be the access to the 35 remaining acres in the back. That 35 acres butts up to his parents' 61 acres. So that would all be combined together. They're all going to be adjoining owned by one ownership family. So there's plenty of room. The farmhouse is going to stay, and they will be able to get around with the machinery to get back in and farm that 35 acres.
Answered your question, Mr. Steiner, where it's going to be under a different ownership. It'll be under a similar family, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it'll always stay that way, right? We have to think about the
Correct.
long-term effects of what this split does.
And then if you didn't have that, would there be any kind of variance or paper drawn up to that an easement or potential access from another location?
Correct. I think what the argument you're making, if I'm able to summarize what I'm hearing, is if we split all this up and there's no way to access the farmland in the rear and somebody else was to purchase that property, they wouldn't actually be able to access and farm it.
Right.
Ms.
Yeah.
Kincaid?
The one house is still going to be, the 190 foot of frontage will be part of the rear farmland.
Ms. Kincaid?
Yes, just for clarification purposes, I don't know if I was clear. Parcel 1 has the farmhouse, and that will be connected to the remaining 30-some acres in the rear. So that will be made one parcel. Should there ever be a time where that farmhouse was going to be sought to be split off, it would require another variance. If they carved off the rear property and attached it to another parcel, that farmhouse, if any other parcel had a home on it, they would have to seek a variance because we would not allow one parcel with 2 residential homes on it. So I can't speak if any of the other parcels that might be an option to attach this. But if this home were to ever be split off, it would require another variance. Just want to make that clear that it can't just happen without another variance, because they would then again be reducing to less than 5 acres that is required by ordinance.
Okay.
I don't know if that offered any further clarification or not.
No, it was helpful. Thank you. All right. So where we're standing right now is it sounds like we don't have a very compelling argument for a approval here. Are there any compelling arguments not for not allowing this? Mr. Jenkins?
Well, I think I've already stated my reason for not allowing it is because there is no practical difficulty. And if you're going to be consistent in your rulings, you got to follow the policy. So I'm prepared to make a motion to deny.
Can I say one more thing or no?
We'll allow it. Go ahead, Mr. Helm. Yep.
What if we made an offer instead of 6 splits, go down to 4 splits?
Well, I don't know that we're willing to do that tonight without seeing any documentation or anything of that nature. So I think it would have to be a different request. So I'll pause there, and Mr. Jenkins, I'll allow you to proceed.
anyhow, I'd make a motion to deny the request for the variance as published due to the fact that there's no practical difficulty demonstrated. That's it.
We have a motion. Do we have a support?
I'll support that motion as presented.
All right, Ms. Kincaid, if you would call the roll.
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mr. Hirsch,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Mr. Steiner,
Aye.
Mr. Lake.
Aye.
Carried.
All right. Motion carried. Request denied. We'll move on to the next piece of business. As soon as I get the agenda back up here, we're going to move on to any general public comment. If there are any of those on the call still, if you want to give your comment that's not pertaining to this particular public hearing, we do so now. I don't know that we have any extra callers on the phone at this point, Mr. Welling. So I am going to move. Thank you. So I will move on to the next piece, and that is board and staff comments. So I'll start with you, Ms. Kincaid.
The only thing we have is Monday, this next Monday, a week from today, is our deadline for the December meeting. December meeting's on December 7th. We have not yet received any variance requests. If we do, then of course we will have a meeting on December 7th. If not, then we will not meet again until January. So that's the only thing I have.
Thank you, Ms. Kincaid. Start with the other staff folks, Mr. Kohler and Mr. Goldsmith.
I have nothing.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
All right, we'll start with the board members. If there's anything from any of the board members.
I have nothing.
I don't have anything.
All right. Well, we are through board and staff comments then, and we'll move on. If someone would like to make a motion for adjournment.
Sorry, Jake, I was on mute.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Steiner, go ahead.
I do want to jump in here real quick. Just want to let everyone know that being that November 20th, there will be a new township board seated. I'm not sure exactly where I will be from a liaison standpoint from the township board. I may be on zoning appeals, I may be on planning, could be library, park board, could be any place. So if I don't return to this board, just want to let everybody know it's been enjoyable working with you. But one way or another, since I'll be in the township active for the next 4 years minimum, I'm sure that our paths will definitely cross again.
Thanks, Mr. Steiner. Hopefully we continue working with you. We've enjoyed working with you. I'll speak for everybody on that one.
Thank you.
All right. With that said, look for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All right. That's for all in favor.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.